Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your patience while we had some technical difficulties. I want to welcome you to our webinar this afternoon. We are delighted to have one of our partners joining us today, Business Central Addons. Bob Cole will be presenting on things Business Central ought to do but doesn't. And just as a reminder, we are recording this webinar and we will post it to our on-demand webinar library for you to review again or share with anyone. And you can find our library under our resources tab on our website at inovia.com. And we do encourage you to ask questions during our presentation, so please feel free to type them into the questions box and we will answer them at the end of our session. So now I'm going to turn it over to Bob to kick off our presentation.
Angie, thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to do this. The title is Things BC Ought to Do But Doesn't. Unfortunately, I can't cover all of the things BC ought to do but doesn't. So I'm going to just limit it to 5 areas. And these are the 5 areas we're going to talk about. Easy PDF, email, and fax. So that is generically the ability to create emails and send them from inside of Business Central and what Business Central doesn't do. Shipping connector, we're just going to talk about briefly. I'm not going to open it up and look at it. AR and collections manager, there's surprisingly little in Business Central having to do with collections. And then dimension manager and merge utility. So we're going to take a very, very light look at the very basic functionality because each one of these takes additional time. If you would like to see a more in-depth review, just let me know or Angie, and we will make arrangements to go much deeper into it, but time will simply not allow us to do that. There's just, I can spend an hour or more on collections manager alone. So let's get going. On this screen, you'll see a bunch of things that are not in yellow and some things that are highlighted. The things that are not highlighted are what Business Central does out of the box. The things that are highlighted is what our add-ons do. So Business Central will allow you to convert any document in BC to a PDF attachment to an email. It will also store email addresses by customer and by document. However, what it won't do is allow you to create multiple message templates, particularly using HTML. Business Central only uses Word templates, which are not easy to manipulate. The biggest single thing that Business Central doesn't do that just about everybody wants is batch sending. Batch sending posted sales invoice or auto sending, we'll talk about that briefly. Batch sending customer statements, batch sending any number of different documents. You can create a batch of anywhere from 2 to 2,000 documents. Although there may be a limitation on your SMTP sending. Your Office 365 may put a daily limit on how many things you can send. We can also batch send remittance advices if you're using EFT, electronic fund transfers for your vendors. I will tell you that's really, really helpful. We also have a searchable history of sent documents. So every time you send or print something through Easy PDF, it creates a history entry, which you can search to verify that things got sent, and you can resend it if you want to. We store a preferred communication method. Some of your customers may still insist on getting their communications done by printed and mailed documents. Some emailed. I had the first time I had somebody tell me they still fax documents 2 weeks ago. It was the first time in 3 years that anybody told me they were still faxing things. We will allow you to fax documents as well. We can also send any report, any custom report, any standard report to a defined distribution list at a defined interval. Weekly sales reports, daily back order reports, whatever you want. You can say, these are the reports that need to get sent. This is who they go to. and then the job queue function will automatically send the reports. Combining documents being sent to a single email address. Let's say you have a customer that wants to get 5 or 10 copies of invoices. Rather than sending them 5 or 10 emails, you can use batch sending. Put them all in a batch. In fact, let's go and take a look at that in just a second. You can also send messages in multiple languages linked to the language code on the customer card. Particularly important in Europe and also in Eastern Canada, where a lot of French and English is spoken. So you can say this customer receives their communication in French. You set up a template in French. EasyPDF will automatically use that template. It will also facilitate browser printing, which Business Central doesn't do. Okay, so let's take a quick look at this. We're going to go over to Business Central, and this is the Business Central SaaS version, the cloud version. So if I go to posted sales invoices and I highlight, I don't know, let's say these. Come on. There. So then I can go to either print send, and I can say send selected to batch. And it creates a batch. All of these now, all I have to do is hit send batch, and it will send out all of these. Now, some of these are marked print, some of them are marked email. When you send the batch, the email ones get emailed, the printed ones get printed to the local printer. This is something that Business Central simply cannot do out of the box. Now, this is we use a shared email address here. However, we could set it up so that we send from a specific email account when we send this. There's a whole bunch of functionality built into this. Maybe we want to take a look and see what we're sending, in which case we go to report, we say show report, and this will allow us to preview what's going to get sent. And come on, open up. Pick it up. Come on, let's go. Now, there we go. The first time it takes it. So this is what's going to get attached to the email when you send it. So there are a whole bunch of additional things. You can change the function. You can say, I don't want to print this, I want to send it. You can change the email templates. You can change who it's being sent from. You can also say, I want to consolidate email. This is really helpful. If you have multiple emails, like for example, here we have one going to Megan, and here we have another one going to Megan. So when we hit process, Megan is going to get a single email with multiple attachments. If we then took it a step farther and say merge PDF attachments, not only would Megan get one email, but she'd get one attachment with multiple pages. That kind of scares me. I might miss page 2 and 3, but we have customers who insist on that functionality. This is just let's do one other thing. Let's take a look at another common function, and that is batch sending customer statements. So we go to the customer list, and we go under actions and EasyPDF, and we're going to say batch customer statements. Then we put in a start and end date, click OK. The system creates a batch of customer statements, however many it is. And again, the ones that get emailed, the ones that get printed and mailed will be printed out on a local printer. This is probably the single biggest reason why people want to have Easy PDF over and above what Business Central does for email sending. There's a whole bunch more. I could go into a lot more, but we just don't have time to continue. Easy PDF is a great tool. I will tell you that in an effort to make this accessible to everybody who has Business Central, we are offering a free seat to anybody who downloads it. If you go to Business Central, to the App Store and download Easy PDF, which will come from my partner's website, Software Grotto, you'll get a 30-day trial with unlimited users, and at the end of 30 days, it will continue on with one free user. If you only want to use one free user to be able to batch send statements, you got it for free. So we encourage people to download, install it. We will be more than happy to help set it up. There is a lot of functionality built into it, and it keeps on growing. It's a very big program that does a lot of stuff. Okay, let's go back to the PowerPoint. Shipping connector. There is nothing in Nav that connects anything to shipping sites. The shipping connector is a very simple tool that allows you to connect to carrier software today. That is UPS, FedEx, the Postal Service. In fact, any carrier that has installable software today. So Purelator, DHL, Canada Post, anything that has an installable software is possible to be used. Now, it is really simple, inexpensive. It's $99 a month. It's way less than half of the next most expensive shipping software. There is one limitation, and that is at this time you need to have the carrier software installed on the shipping computer. That is UPS WorldShip, FedEx Ship Manager, the Postal Service Stamps.com, or whatever the software is. We have a wizard that will configure and link the shipping computer to Business Central. Can be done in 10 to 15 minutes with administrative support. And when you release a sales order, it will automatically send the ship to information and all of the account information over to the shipping computer. The shipping person then enters in the sales order number, and everything gets imported. That is billing information. That is who gets the bill for this. Is it the sender, or is it a third party account, which can be stored on the customer card or the ship to address card. So we can store third-party account information and pass it. It'll also pass the carrier service information. It'll also pass carrier information. Oh, so the service type. Did you use ground? Did you use expedited service? So all of that passes. What does not pass, what we do not create at this time, is we do not create packages that tracking numbers get linked directly to a package and its contents. That will be available by the end of the year. So if you're looking for an easy install, quick to install shipping application to link to small package, that is UPS and FedEx, the shipping connector is the fastest, easiest way to do it. Once you process the shipment, it returns the tracking number and charges. There is a matrix built into it to allow you to mark it up, either by a percentage or a fixed amount. or not at all. Maybe it's free shipping, but the tracking number will be passed and it will be stored in the proper place so that you can track packages. It is really easy. I will tell you that there are two things in the works right now. One is our own user interface so that you do not need to install WorldShip or Ship Manager or anything else, that we will link directly into the carrier's computer system, and we will pass all of the information directly into the computer system and return the information. That will allow you to be able to rate shop between carriers and services. You can open up a window and say, this is the package or packages I've got. How much is it going to cost to ship it by UPS, various services, FedEx, various services, Postal Service. Right now we have FedEx and the Postal Service done. And this week we're starting to work on linking it to UPS. We hope within by the end of next month we should have that functionality available. So the shipping connector is a great tool. Business Central ought to have more functionality surrounding shipping, but it just doesn't. It doesn't connect to any shipping, any carriers. Going into the future with this new user interface, we will be able to connect to any carrier that has an online API. So Canada Post, Purolator, and DHL are definitely planned. Technically, we would be able to link to it even LTL carriers in the future. So that's planned. Price is $99 a month, unlimited users, unlimited shipping computers. There is nothing that's even remotely close to that. This is a simple shipping application that means that shipping people don't have to type. Moving on. AR and Collections Manager, one of our most popular add-ons. There is very little in Business Central to handle collections. In fact, this is it. This is all Business Central has in it to be able to help you with collections. So we have, in fact, this is a fast-growing application. We're working on about 4 new functions and hope to have them in the App Store by the end of next week. But there are 3 major sections to the Collections Manager: the exception list, the exception manager, and the contact event manager. An exception is our terminology for any accounts receivable transaction that requires somebody's attention. Might be an overdue invoice, might be partially paid, might be an unapplied payment or credit memo, might be something in dispute that generically we call exceptions, because they're exceptions to the normal process of creation, application, and disappearance into history. So the exception list is updated daily, automatically, using the job queue function at night, and every night new entries are added to the list, and the ones that have been processed and payment has been applied drop off the list. So that every day that the exception list is updated. In fact, let's jump over and take a look at it. And we want to go to here. Nope, here. Process batch. Well, actually, what we want to do is we want to go to here. Let's open this up. And what we've done is added, when you install the application, we've added in a function called AR and Collections, and this has a whole bunch of shortcuts to doing stuff. Generate an update is the function that updates the exception list right here every night and is set up to automatically run via job queue. Users will spend most of their time starting in the exception list, which shows you all of the transactions that require attention. Now, some of these are new as of the last update and have not yet been contacted. These are follow-ups. Some of them are overdue. This one's an unapplied credit memo. There's a whole bunch of different functions. We track when invoices have been paid short. So something we've added to the system is to be able to, when you process a payment or a payment from a customer in either the payment journal or the deposits journal, if the payment being applied is less than the full amount, it will automatically create a line in here and it will flag something that says it's paid short. Now, if the person who's applying the payment knows why it was paid short, in this case, it's because they didn't pay the freight. And the person posting the payment looked at it and said, aha, they paid out of $809.76, they paid $800. They didn't pay the freight. So remaining amount is $976. Maybe somebody wants to write that off. So if we go to edit list, we can put a check mark in here. Now here's another one. This original amount was $19,900. The customer paid $2,000. Well, we're not going to write that off. But why did they only pay $2,000? That would be a reason to contact them. Thank you for the payment. Where's the rest of it? So there is a next contact date. This is a key concept. Every time you make contact with a customer, you always set a follow-up date. And this is the primary sort of this list so that you start with the oldest things that need to be followed up on at the top. Any one of these columns can be resorted. So if I want to see all of the ones that have been paid short, I can say sort it in descending order. These will all be at the top. If I leave the screen and go back in, it goes back to the default sort order. Okay, now there's also functionality in here. It shows you how many days late each of the invoices is. What's the original amount and remaining amount? What's the invoice date? What was the due date? If it was paid off, which usually it will drop off the list if that happens, you may want to get rid of that column. When was the last payment that was made? Is it in dispute? You can mark invoices in dispute in 3 different places. This is one of them. So this screen is to help you decide who you're going to contact. And then once you've decided who you're going to contact, you go to the next level, which is the exception manager. The exception manager's function is to allow you to be able to research what's going on with the customer. It shows you all of the open entries. It shows you an aging list down here, which is drillable, shows you all the open orders. It also shows you the average days late and average days to pay, which is a calculation we do. What's the total exception amount? That is the sum of all of these lines. And the total open amount, which is the sum of these lines plus things that are not yet due. What's the oldest invoice? So all of this, and plus there are shortcuts to all kinds of information. So if we go into related and customer, you can jump to the customer card, you can open up the ledger entries. If, for example, you contact the customer and you tell them, gee, you have an overdue invoice, but look at this, you have a credit memo that you have on the books, would you like me to apply it? They say, absolutely. You can open up this screen, jump to the ledger entries, and apply this credit memo. The idea is to clean up your accounts receivable as much as possible. You can generate a customer statement. You can generate the aging report, although I'm not sure I could think of a reason why you would want to, because it's right here. The final step is reviewing the customer contacts. If you have previously contacted this customer, you can edit contact event history. This will open up a sorted list of all the previous contacts you've had with this customer. It says, what date did you contact them? Who did you speak with? What did you do? Because Maybe you had a call, maybe you sent them an email, maybe you left them a voicemail that needs to be followed up on. You want to keep a record of all of this. Here you can put in a summary of what happened on the call. So this is a short note to remind you what happened, but then you can click on here and enter in as much information as you want. Now, we would dearly love to make this box bigger, but unfortunately, Business Central doesn't allow it. That's the biggest we can make the box. We just you can write as much as you want, but you'll have to use the scrolling bar. I wish it didn't used to be like that in Nav, but that's life. So the next thing that you want to do when you're recording what happened on a contact is did they promise to make a payment? And if they did, when did they promise to pay and how much did they promise to pay? Then you set a next contact date. You'll set the next contact date is so important that it will get created automatically 7 days from the work date automatically. However, if you have a situation where they say the promise to pay, the entry date was 8/11 and they promised to pay on 9/17, well, there's no sense in contacting them in 7 days because they just told you they're not going to make the payment until a month later. So you set the next contact date based on what they tell you. Now, there are a number of reports in here. And the reports will show you, we got to talk about this credit hold functionality that we've added in. So one of the things that we've added in is a report based on collection history. So if we go into collection history, we can, and I'm not going to open it up and run it, but it will allow you to be able to generate a report of how many contacts were made in the last week, 2 week, whatever date range you specify. And it will show you who made the contact. You can set a filter if you're looking for contacts for a particular collections rep, and what was said. So that's one report, collection history. The other is a projected cash flow report based on the collections activity. And that report is based on the promises that the customer made. What did they promise? When did they promise to pay? And how much did they promise to pay? So we'll generate a report that's projected cash flow from collections activity. We also have a dashboard. Now, this dashboard is kind of in its early stages, and I'm more than willing to add more functionality to it. What this shows you is, as of a particular date, well, this is picking up the default work date, the total open receivables for the entire company aged. So there's an aging for all the receivables, total number of customers with an open balance, total past due amount, and then whatever collectors you have set up in the system, it'll show how much is this of that past due amount is assigned to each collector. Okay. Then we also do an overall calculation for the entire company for average days to pay and average days late. So all of this is a great little dashboard for management. One of the other things that we've done is to add in an ability to do credit holds. So we have several customers who said that they're using credit limits and they want to be able to put a customer on credit hold if their open balance plus their open unshipped orders exceeds their credit limit. So automatically, the customer will be put on credit hold. Now, this is not blocked. Blocked will prevent you from entering information or posting payments. So we don't want to do that. So we've added in a function. Let's see, customer card. And it should be right above, not credit limit. Where's blocked? Let's show more. Okay, right here. So here's the native Business Central function, blocked. And if you block the customer, you won't be able to enter any new orders, and you won't be able to post payments to the customer. We added in the field credit limit. Okay. Oh, so we added in credit hold, which is it should be right above blocked. Now credit hold allows you to be able to say that the orders that are open that have not been released to shipping, they will not be able to release them unless a supervisor says they want to override the function. So we can allow people to override credit hold if, for example, the collectors are contacting the customer says, I promise I'll pay, but we have this one critical order that absolutely needs to be shipped. If management agrees and they're given the ability to override, they can override the credit hold either for the entire account or for one specific order. Now, we thought that was a great function. It turned out that we had several people who said, we don't use credit limits. What we want to do is put the customer on credit hold if they have an open invoice that's older than some number of days. That's being worked on today. We should have that available so that you can use either the credit hold based on credit limits or based on the oldest overdue invoice. So it would function the same way. If you set the limit to be 60 days, then if there's an invoice that's 60 days overdue, not 60 days from the invoice date, but 60 days overdue, then the account gets put on credit hold. Now we wanted to make, since this is a pretty serious function, that's probably why it's not there, because somehow I jumped to the Easy PDF database. That's why that field wasn't there. Let's go back, open this up, and let's go to the sales, to the customers. And we'll go to the School of Fine Art. And there's our credit hold. So right above blocked, we've added in this field credit hold, which in this case is enabled because the credit limit is 50,000 and their balance due is 50,800. So any open orders will be blocked if they try to release them to shipping. Now, that's a really serious thing. So we've added in the ability to be able to go into here and say, I want to see all the orders on hold for this customer. Or maybe what I want to do is assign a collections person to be able to go in every day and check to see what orders are on hold for all customers. So this function here will show you all orders on hold for all customers, because maybe then what they want to do is they want to open it up and they want to contact the customer and say, listen, your payments are overdue and you've been put on credit hold. What can we do about this? And then they would create a contact event and document the contact. So there's a lot of functionality. There's a bunch of new things that we're adding in shortly. Back to the list. Moving on. AR and Easy is a combination of Easy PDF and AR and Collections. We've had it for years in Nav. We have not had time to build it out. We're going to be starting to build it out probably in the next couple weeks. It combines all of the functions that I showed in Easy PDF, and a lot I didn't show, and all of the functions in AR and Collections, a lot of which I didn't show, but adds some additional functions that are not in either one by themselves. One of those things is the ability to batch send reminders, and that we can send reminders two different ways. One is with levels of reminders, that is using the Business Central reminder report, and will allow levels. That is, you can use the email message body to say, level 1 reminder might be, dear customer, please give the attached report your earliest attention. Call us if you have any questions. Level 2 might be, dear valued customer, we really like you, but we'd like you better if you paid your bills. Please give the report. Until we get to level 5, which says, dear customer, please contact us right away or bad things are going to happen. Now, you can use as many or few of the levels as you want. The second way that we allow you to send reminders is with a completely different email message that attaches a copy of the overdue invoice and is designed to be sent immediately after the invoice becomes due. So 1 or 2 or 3 days after the due date, you send a reminder with a copy of the overdue invoice. And if there are multiple invoices, then easy PDF batch sending will combine all of them into a single email. This is in the works. We've had it for years in Nav, and we plan to release it for Business Central soon. Dimension Manager. Internationally, this is probably one of our most popular add-ons. Add, modify, or delete any dimension value for any posted record. You can do that. At least I've heard you can do it. I haven't been able to find the place to do it in Business Central. I'm told it's there. I haven't seen it. However, what they don't do is this stuff. We store an audit trail of who changed what and when. If you're a large company, that's kind of critical because Sarbanes-Oxley requires documentation of any changes that you make to posted data. Now, we're not changing anything except the dimensions. So there's no reason why we couldn't change the dimensions, but we do need to have an audit trail of who did it and when they did it and what it was before they did it. And if it was done in error, we offer an undo function that reverses it and puts it back. Now, those two functions alone are worth the price of Dimension Manager. However, if you are going to change dimensions, maybe you don't want to do them one document at a time, which is what Business Central requires. Maybe you say, I want to change all of the dimensions for all of the invoices for a particular customer because we coded it wrong, or we didn't code it. Or maybe what we did is we started using dimensions, but people didn't really understand the power. And when the light went on, they said, the vice president of sales came down and said, gee, can we add in dimensions that for these different criteria and apply them to all of our posted data? Well, the answer is you could do that one document at a time, or you can use the batch update function in Dimension Manager, which allows you to batch update anything. It will also allow you to add dimensions that you did not previously have. This one in red is absolutely critical. We have an option in Dimension Management Setup that will allow you to restrict the ability to change dimensions based on the user setup posting date range. Why is that important? Because most companies use dimensions to prepare their financial data and the financial reporting. And if you happen to be a public company, changing dimensions once you've submitted your 10K or 10Q is kind of frowned on by the SEC. So we've added the option that says that the only dimension changes that will be allowed will be if the posting date of the document is within the user setup posting date range. This is absolutely critical, and the first time you start changing your the dimensions that are used in your financials after reporting your financials, you're going to realize how important that this really is. This is something. Dimensions are a wonderful thing. They really are. They've been in Nav since the beginning, and people really like the ability to create any data tag they want for reporting purposes. But the people who post transactions frequently don't have any idea what a dimension is and how it's used and why it's important. And it just happens all the time that dimensions are posted incorrectly. Now, you can go back one transaction at a time and fix it. At least I'm told you can. Or you can use Dimension Manager. So how does that work? Let's take a look. Let's go into Dimension Manager. So first thing we want to do is go into posted sales invoices. This works on any posted record, either GL entries, item ledger entries, job ledger entries, resource ledger entries, customer vendor ledger entries, any entry, any document. So let's open up a document. I'll randomly pick this one. And if we take a look and we see what are the current dimensions. So if we look at it, we say, these are the dimensions that were originally posted: department, customer group, area, and salesperson. Well, maybe the salesperson was wrong. We need to change that. So we go to, let's see, it is actions, and they changed the name, find entries. It used to be called navigate, but now Business Central calls it find entries. So we find entries for this transaction. And when this document was posted, all of these entries were created. So if we go into actions and VLDM change dimension, we will change the dimensions. We specify the dimension. What dimension do we want? We say we want the salesperson, not the sales campaign. We want actually it's salesperson purchaser. And what's the new value? And we will we'll say it is Marty. Okay. And when we update it, everything in this list is going to get updated. If it's in this list, it will be updated. So if we go into the GL entry, we will see that we've now, let's see, we should have updated the entry. That one appears to not be there. Well, that's what happens when I do things. So the updates. Now, if you have an older version of Business Central that's older than BC18, if you have an on-prem version, these shortcut dimensions are not on there. This was added in BC 18, 19, and 20, that out of the box, the shortcut dimensions are there. We add them. If you have an older version, an on-prem version, we add the shortcut dimensions, and also if you happen to have nav, we'll add it in there. So now, if we want to go back in and see what we had done, we go again to navigate and let's see, I'm sorry, invoice, dimensions, and there's the purchaser dimension. Okay, now if we go back to find entries, we can go to dimension management history. This will show us who changed what, when they changed it, what it was before they changed it, and what they changed it to. And if we want to, we can undo the dimension change. So this is absolutely critical. If you make a mistake, you can find it. Now, maybe you can't remember which document it was, in which case we go here to find, and we say VLDM history, and this will show us a list. We don't want to purge. We want to see it. VLDM management history. Well, that's interesting. Dimension management history. Dimension management I hadn't seen this one before. The dimension management history list. There's a list of all the changes that we made. If we undid, we can go to any one of these. We can open it up. And we can see what got changed, when it got changed, what it was before we changed it, and what we changed it to, and reverse it. So if we click undo dimensions, whatever's in the new code will be restored to the document. So the ability to change dimensions is absolutely critical. One of the other things that we added in, we had two customers who within a week apart said, we don't want to change the dimensions for documents. We want to change the dimensions for a customer. So we open up a customer card and we say, regardless of what's there now, this is what we want to have all of the transactions that are coded to this customer or vendor or item. And we say, these are the dimensions, whether they're there or not, and then we can push that set of dimensions to all posted records and all unposted records, open records, before they've been posted. This is something that isn't even close to what Business Central does. So you can do multiple customers at a time. If you have a lot of data, you have to be careful with that, because it goes through and it will change everything. And if there's a lot of data, it can take a little bit of time. So that's dimension management. Let's go back here and go to our last one, which is merge utility. From time to time, it happens that duplicate accounts get created. Customer service can't find an account for a customer, so they create a new one. Well, obviously that creates all kinds of problems. You don't have any history. Business Central now allows you to merge entries from one customer or vendor or GL account, which we call the source account, into another called the destination account, and we delete the source account. Actually, I haven't tried the native Business Central one to see if they delete it. What they don't do is they don't store an audit trail like dimension management of all of the merges. So who merged what, when they merged it, what was the source account, and what did they merge it into? And provide an undo function. I heard the story one time about a customer. This was really early on, well before we had the undo function, who went to their receptionist at the front desk and said, would you please merge this customer into this one? And she merged every customer in the database into one. That was a disaster. They had to go to the backup tapes to restore it, to put that. Had they had the merge utility undo function, they simply could have undone the merge and put it back the way it was. We also offer a screen where you can perform multiple merges. You can say merge this into this, this into this, this into this. We also say that when you're merging a customer, not only do you want to merge the ledger entries, but you'll also merge the ship to addresses and contacts from the source account to the destination account. You can also, we had a customer in California who said, when I merge them, I don't want to get rid of the source account, but I want to change it. I want all of the ledger entries to be in the destination account, but I want the source account to be created as a ship to address after the merge. So that's an option in setup. We also will display, if there are merged entries in the customer ledger entry, we will display a field that shows you that the source of that was a merge. So if we go into the customer list, no, this is not the right one. This is the right one, I think. Yes. So let's open up customers, and let's go to, I created this one from scratch. Now there's a ship to address, and there's a contact on here, and there is a there is a balance. There's a posted sales invoice. So if I go to actions and I say merge customer, and I say, what do I want to merge it in? Who do I want to merge it into? Let's merge it into a data. And it says, are you sure you want to do this? Because we're going to delete the source account. So we merge all of this in. This is for cleanup, and it happens all the time. So it now, the record in the table already exists. Did I already do that? Okay, we'll have to take a look at that. So if I go into the customer ledger entries, then we've added a merged from customer account. So once I don't know what happened on that one. I'll have to take a look. But we've added this field in the customer ledger entry table that if you're merging transactions from one customer to another, if the customer ledger entry is merged from another account, it'll tell you here what the merged account is. This is something that's really, really helpful. You know that this was not an original posting, but merged from another customer. Same thing as in Dimension Manager. If we go into Merge Utility History, we have a list of all of the merges. I can go open up any one of these, and it says here we merged GL the entries from one GL account into another. Here we undid. We merged the customer. We undid the merge. So we can go into any one of these and reverse it. So if I take a look at this undo, it'll show me what the merge was, and I can reverse it. I can put it back the way it was. Even though this is an undo merge, I can say, yes, I did want to merge it, and it will redo it, remerge it again. So those are the things. These are the things that we've added on, functions that are sometimes basically in Business Central, but not nearly to the extent of what we've done. We have other add-ons available in BC 1099 Toolkit. We also are going to be adding easy currency exchange to automatically update your foreign exchange relations, and Excel journal import. We're also in the middle of working. We should have that in the App Store. It's available for on-prem. This one's available for on-prem. 1099 Toolkit is but we don't have time to talk about that. Angie, I'm right at my hour. Let's turn it back to you and see if we have any questions.
Thank you, Bob. No questions have come through, so if anybody does have anything, please go ahead and get those submitted so we can get them addressed with Bob.
Okay, so as I said, this was just a very light touch on the various different add-ons. If any of these are things that you think would be helpful to you, I'd be more than happy to set up a more in-depth look at any one or all of them. So I thank you very much for your time and attention.
All right. Well, thank you, Bob. Like I said, no questions have come through, so we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. If anybody has any questions after the fact, or if you're watching this on demand, thank you for taking the time out to join us, first of all, and let us know if you have any questions. Like Bob said, he'd be happy to get those addressed more in depth with you and your team. So thank you, Bob, for the presentation.
Thanks for the opportunity.
And just to let you know, we do have more events coming up on our website page at innovia.com/events. And we also have our training workshop page, innovia.com/workshops. We have a variety of workshops to fit your role, so check out the ones that are right for you and your team. And if you haven't heard our latest Innovia Conversation podcast, we have a library of podcast episodes for you to listen to, and you can learn more on innovia.com/podcast. So browse our selection and subscribe so you'll get notified when those new episodes air. And don't forget to check out our conference page, innovia.com/conferences. We will be attending Dynamics Con Live in San Antonio, Texas in September. And that is September 14th through the 16th. So browse the registration details. And like I said, that's innovia.com/conferences. And don't forget, there is a discount code. So if you're interested in attending, make sure you use our discount code on that page. All right. Well, again, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you again, Bob, for the presentation. And we look forward to seeing you soon at another Innovia webinar. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bob.